I hear a lot of people talk about their dreams. My dream is to do this, my dream is to do that. And I thought you might like to see the way Disney approached his dream, and maybe you could use some of his techniques and his motivation in your own dream and to accomplish your own goals and your own dreams. So how did Disney do it? For more than 20 years, Walt Disney knew that he wanted to create a Mickey Mouse land where kids could come and see where Mickey Mouse lived. And Vicki, how did you say we're going to give away the books? By
drawing.
By drawing, okay. Yes. Tell you, can I ask a trivia question? If they get it right, they can win one of them that way?
Okay.
Good. He wanted to give a place where children could come and see where Mickey Mouse lived. And he had this idea for Mickey Mouse Land. And he knew it would be very expensive. And the budget kept increasing and increasing and increasing. And he cashed in his life insurance policy. He mortgaged his house in Palm Springs. And he even went to all of the employees in the company with his hand out asking if he could borrow money, $20 at a time. We don't know that because we think Disneyland, Disney World have always been a success and have always made lots of money. That's not true. So he decided to build this Disneyland park, and in 1953, he sent 4 of his top people to the Sherman Hotel in Chicago, Illinois, at a meeting of amusement park owners. He sent Bill Cottrell, Buzz Price, Dick Irvine, and Nat Weinkauf to this hotel to meet with amusement park owners to ask them, how do you run your amusement park? What do you do so I can build a park too? So he asked them to wine and dine the other amusement park owners with Chivas Regal and caviar. They bought a suite in the hotel, and there they met with the owners of these 4 parks. Bill Schmidt of Chicago's Riverview Park, George Whitney of San Francisco Playland, Ed Schott of Coney Island in Cincinnati, and Harry Batt of Pontchartrain Park in New Orleans. And they said, how do you do it? And here are our plans for Disneyland. In 1953, 2 years before Disneyland opened, Disney shared every detail of his Disneyland with these 4 people. He showed the competition exactly what he was going to do. How many of you were willing to do that? Were you believe in it enough where you'll do that? He did. So he showed them, the amusement park owners, his plans, and they all came back with the same answer. They were unanimous. They told him it won't work. Disneyland will not work. By the way, here's the trivia question. No looking on your phone. When Disneyland opened, it was located at 1313 Harbor Boulevard in Anaheim. What is the significance of that address? 1313 Harbor Boulevard. The amusement park owners told him it would not work. You need to have off-the-shelf rides from a catalog like we do. Your idea about custom rides will never work. They're too hard to repair, they're too hard to replace, they're too hard to build. Buy your rides from a catalog like we do. They also told him that every square inch of your park has to produce revenue. Your castle and pirate ship are cute, but they don't produce revenue, so get rid of them and put a carny game there instead. You're wasting too much money on landscaping. You're planting plants that will be trampled and gone within a week. Don't do it. And lightning will be a problem too. They also told him you can only operate 180 days a year. You can't operate year-round. You can only operate during the summer. You're crazy to think people would come to your park at Christmas time. By the way, what's the busiest week for Disney World? Christmas and New Year's. Oh, your design has only one entrance. You need an entrance on all 4 sides so people can come in easier and spend money easier. Well, it's funny because when Disneyland opened in July of 1955, they issued 11,000 tickets, but 28,000 people showed up. The tickets were very easy to counterfeit, and Disney was scared that people would not show up, so even 11,000 was more than they needed. They wanted to make sure the streets were full of happy, smiling faces for the ABC TV show, so they printed 11,000 tickets when probably should have printed 5,000. And there was a guy with a ladder in the back of the park charging people $5 a piece to sneak into the park. It'll fail because you've only got one entrance. Oh, this Jungle Cruise that you're obsessed with, it will never work. The animals will be asleep. No one will ever see them. Oh, your ideas about cleanliness? Economic suicide. Economic suicide. Cleanliness is economic suicide. Tell your boss to stick to the movie business and leave the theme park business to people who know it. It's going to fail. But Disney built the park anyway. What happened to the 4 guys that gave him that great advice? Riverview Park closed in 1967, San Francisco in 72. Coney Island is still around. By the way, Walt Disney hired Ed Schott as a consultant on the construction of Disneyland. And Pontchartrain Park closed in 1983. Disney stuck with his dream. The experts told him he would fail, guaranteed to fail, but he stuck with his dream. Do you have the initiative to stick with your dream? By the way, even after this meeting, things did not stop happening badly for Walt Disney. There was a time when they were trying to cut down some trees on the property, and they had a bulldozer operator, and they said to the bulldozer operator, there's going to be 3 ribbons on the trees. One will be green, meaning leave the tree alone. One will be red, saying means cut it down. And one will be yellow, saying we're going to need to transport that to another area and save it. Well, the bulldozer operator was colorblind. So every time he saw a ribbon, he just cut the tree down. He didn't cut that many down before they caught him, but Disney's publicity department caught on to that, and word got out that every tree had been destroyed. They took advantage of that bad opportunity and used it as an opportunity to bring some publicity to the park. When Main Street, when Disney World or Disneyland opened in California, they were still pouring asphalt on Main Street, USA, and as women walked down the street, their shoes were being stuck in the hot asphalt. As the opening gates opened, or as the gates opened, they were still installing the elephants on the Jungle Cruise. When they filled up the rivers of America a few weeks before opening, the water seeped into the sand overnight and it had no water, so they had to redo the river so it would actually hold water. You think you've got problems. This is Mickey Mouse. There was somebody very close to Walt Disney who told him that Mickey Mouse was passé. Nobody cares about Mickey anymore. There are whole warehouses of Mickey we just can't give away. I think we should phase him out. The person who gave him that advice was his business partner and brother Roy in 1937. When Disneyland opened, Disney said, I remember when we opened, we didn't have enough money to finish the landscaping, so I had Chief Landscape Architect Bill Evans go out and put Latin name tags on all the weeds. At the same time Disneyland was opening, they were filming this movie, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The script for the movie called for the climactic battle scene to take place on the deck of the Nautilus on calm seas at sunset. When they filmed the scene, they noticed that the squid was filling up with water and the arms were dangling lifelessly, and at the same time the wires were all highly visible. It was a waste of footage. If you ever get a chance to Google that and see the footage, it looks awful. What did they do? To make matters worse, Walt Disney had trusted a young director named Richard Fleischer, who was the son of Max Fleischer, who was a chief Warner Brothers animator. He had hired the competition's son to direct this big movie. And now this big scene in the movie was a waste. What do? Walt Disney told Dick Fleischer, let me think about it. He said, what we're going to do the next day, we're going to reshoot, we're going to rebuild the squid, and instead of filming during the day in calm seas, we'll make it a storm at night. It was much more effective, much more dramatic, and it sealed the deal. You couldn't see the wires, and the storm added tension and drama to the story. Sometimes we have problems and challenges that we need to take and turn into an opportunity. A lot of people say the success of Disneyland is the attention to detail. Everybody heard that? It's the attention to detail. I want to share a secret with you. It is not the attention to detail. The success of Disney is not the attention to detail. The detail is a byproduct of what really matters. And what really matters is integrity. What really matters is integrity. And what I mean by integrity is not some kind of a moral righteousness, although that's important. Integrity means the things you expect to be there are there, and the things you don't expect to be there are not there. When we run our business, we need to make sure that the things that our customers expect are there, and the things that we don't expect are not there. I'll give you a quick example. I went into a restaurant here in town. The person greeting me at the front door had a t-shirt on advertising a competing restaurant. The music on the PA system in the restaurant had commercials for other restaurants as well. When I go to, by the way, that restaurant's out of business now. When I go to a restaurant, I don't expect to be hit with advertisements for the competition. It lacked integrity. I'll show you what I mean at Disney. If you go to see the Country Bear Jamboree, that ride is about a group of bears that came in from the woods to give you a show, right? Well, if bears are coming in from the woods across the theater to get up on the stage, what are you going to see on the floor? Well, twigs and branches, which is a trip hazard, a lawsuit, but you're going to see scratch marks on the floor. The show has integrity. The details are a result of the integrity. One of the last things I want to leave you with are the tombstones in front of the Haunted Mansion. By the way, don't we all have tombstones right in front of our front door? It makes perfect sense. The tombstones are real. The names on the tombstones are real. Dear departed brother Dave, he chased a bear into a cave. Master Gracie laid to rest, no mourning please at his request. Those names are all the names of the people who worked on the project. Master Gracie is named for Yale Gracie, who was one of the chief engineers. Honor your coworkers. Look for ways to make the people around you feel special. At Disney, you're not allowed to sign your work, but they still honor their fellow employees, their cast members. Keep your employees in mind. Keep your coworkers in mind. Keep your mentors in mind. Keep your mentees in mind, and honor them any way you can. Walt Disney said, I haven't the faintest idea where this business will drag me from one year to the next. It's at the controls, not me. Follow your dream, but let the dream lead you. You don't have to spend money on excellence. The street lights you see on Main Street USA in Disneyland were purchased as surplus stock from the city of Baltimore for 3 cents a pound. The flagpole at the center of Main Street USA, which is a beloved landmark in the park, was actually a street light on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. Imagineer Emil Curry was driving to work one Sunday and noticed a car accident had taken the pole down, and he asked the construction crews what they're going to do with it. They said, we're going to scrap it. He said, you mind if I buy it? They said, sure, it's 28 cents a pound. The flagpole is a light pole from Hollywood. It's Raleigh Crump on the left side talking to Walt Disney. I'm very fortunate that Raleigh Crump read my book and endorsed it. He said, Walt would be proud of this book. Wow. You may think that people sculpting for Disney have these gorgeous temperature-controlled rooms filled with North Light. No, he did all of his work in the parking lot. Do you know what he used to carve the tiki birds and It's a Small World? A plastic fork he got from the commissary. It does not take a lot if you believe in your dream enough. I want to tell you to follow your dream, because the world is full of people who will tell you you cannot do it. You're not worthy. There are tons of people who will tell you to give up and don't go forward. I've written 3 books now, and each step of the way I had people who told me I was crazy and it wouldn't work. And by the way, it's really funny too when somebody comes up to you and says, oh, well, I didn't like your book very much, or how many books have you sold today? I said, well, I'll tell you how many, but how many have you sold today? But fortunately, they're selling very well. Follow your dream. I was not supposed to have written a book, and it's not supposed to sell well, but you can do it. People ask me, I've never worked for Disney. And I also got some really neat people to endorse the book. That's Dan Cathy of Chick-fil-A. I got the chairman of David Weekley Homes to endorse it. Famous Dave Anderson of Famous Dave's endorsed it. I thought that was pretty cool. Lee Cockrell wrote the foreword. He's former vice president of Disney. Raleigh Crump. Bob Gurr. If it moves at Disneyland, he designed it. And he endorsed the book as well. He wrote the afterword. It was really cool because I called him and he said, oh yeah, I just got off the phone with Kurt Russell. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. People say, how do you get these guys to endorse your book? How'd you get them to read your book and put words in your book? I asked them. Follow your dream and it will open doors for you. I'm going to keep this short. This is an excerpt from my book, what you just saw. If you have any questions for me, there's my contact information. And if you're on Twitter, there's my Twitter handle. And there's a copy of my book. We have copies of the book up here. We're going to give away 2, but if anybody wants to buy one, they're $20, and a portion of every sale will go to Hot Coffee. And if you leave here and forget my name, which is fine because I forget my name too sometimes, I don't think anybody fell asleep in here. If you remember that you did not fall asleep, you can find me that way because that's my website, atleastididn'tfallasleep.com. So Vicki, thank you for having me. Thanks for your attention, and go follow your dreams. Thank you.